That's the best question that we're going to have all day today. The high school experience. We're doing something. We all came through high school. We all understand how formative that is, right? And the high school experience, whether it's sports, football, or basketball, or band, or theater, or clubs, or whatever, make a huge difference in young lives, right? You know that. And the impact that you have as a coach in any one of those areas, just like a teacher, can be life transformational. It can be transformational for amazing things. It can be transformational for not so good things or bad things too. And the idea that we want to help coaches in every way we can to be the best they can be for the young people that they're responsible for because they took on that job of coaching them is something that's really important to all of us. It should be important to all of us. It's important to the Harbaugh Coaching Academy, to us, and we want to help out where we can. One piece of advice I got from my high school coach, we had a coach, his name was Pete Palmer. He was called Push-Up Pete. And if you did, he was my baseball coach. And if you didn't run out a ground ball or a fly ball, you got to run around the football stadium, which is about a half a mile. You know, baseball players don't like running too much sometimes. So hustle, hustle. That's probably the best advice I got early on. Hustle serves you well in life. Thanks.
Earlier, Eric came out with all the allegations serious and concerning. Does that sort of sum up your reaction as well?
Oh, absolutely. It's not what you want to wake up and read. You don't want to read about it. It's not something you want to see. I don't care what it is in terms of, things that are hurtful and harmful to people. There's too many headlines like that, too many stories that you hear that just make you just sad, disappointed. And you don't want to ever see a circumstance, a situation, especially as if it relates to, your world where, anybody's made to feel less than great when they come and are involved in a work experience somewhere, and as it touches all of us in our lives, we want to do everything we can to make sure that this is just the opposite, that everybody feels like they have a great work experience. You guys have been at our place every day, and you know what we try to do with that. So that's just really a tough deal, and the NFL is looking into it. They're going to come up, they're going to review it, they're going to try to gather all the facts, and hopefully we'll have an understanding of it at that time. And then once there's an understanding of it, then you have a chance to, make some decisions and determinations and things like that, and that's where we're at right now. Yeah, and that's what we're waiting to try to do is reconcile it. That's what the process is for. That's why you've got to come to an understanding, if you can, about what happened. We've all got questions, but nobody knows exactly what happened. So let's see where the review takes us.
John, when did you first kind of learn about the allegations? And secondly, specifically Chelsea?
Yeah. I learned after Eric told me, I think right before it came out, maybe the banner had called Eric and told him that there was something coming out. We didn't know anything about what it was going to be, so I knew what it was when I read it. And then, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks after that, I gave Justin a call on a Sunday morning, and we had a conversation about it and talked about it. More about, just more from a perspective of being together for all these years, kind of what he was going through and, what he was dealing with that and kind of how he was handling with his family and things like that. And that was really what we talked about. Can you say it again?
When a situation like this rises to such a national level,
Great question. When it rises to a national level, how do you approach it? Really, it's not so much about like what level national or what level of attention something gets. It's the fact that it's so important to somebody in our program. I mean, to me, it's like people walk in the door in this job, you've kind of, God appointment, sometimes we call it, but things come up all the time. You could be dug deep in the middle of some football-related task, and someone walks in your door with something that's number one important to them, and they're talking to, the boss, so to speak, or the head coach or whatever, and they need your time and they need your attention. So to me, it's exactly the same as any one of those conversations that you'd have. Right. Yeah, well, sure. It's, every position is important. We're going to look at every single position, but certainly different years you look at different positions. We're looking at kickers. I mean, we're looking at a lot of positions. We're looking at every position, but I'd say, the kicker position would have been a priority no matter what, because Justin's our kicker. We love him, and I expect him. Would have always expected him to keep going forever, but nobody goes forever. So we've got to look at every position like we do. Yeah. All the big picture of the coaching changes. Yeah, that's the thing that we found in the last 3, 4, 5 years. We've had a lot of coaching changes and different reasons for different coaching changes. Guys have gotten opportunities. We've had a lot of success, and that's a good thing, but it's a challenging thing because, from the coaching side, there's nothing more important than your staff, and we have a great coaching staff. We've had great coaches come through. I'm going to be talking to Anthony Weaver and Mike McDonald later today. And those guys are two of the great coaches that kind of have helped us become what we are as a program. So I'm excited about Chuck Pagano. Chuck's been there before. He's coming back. He's a great coach. He's a great guy. He helped start it back in 2008 to 2011. So love Chuck, and I think he's going to bring a lot to the table. And then Donald DeLacio is a young guy who's got a lot of talent, and Ty Santucci's going to do a great job with the linebackers, and Matt Pease. Really happy with all those guys.
Defensive tackle rotation, Grass goes deep at that position. Seeing like game, having game practice. How eager you to look at this maybe defensive tackle class and maybe being a fine rotation
It starts there. It starts on the offensive and defensive line. So we're going to be looking at both lines really hard. You look at every position. It gets a deep running back class from what I've been told too. So we'll be looking at that position too. But yeah, game-wrecking defensive tackles, kind of a big deal. Pass pressuring defensive ends, that's kind of a big deal too.
John, you're talking about coaching staff. You guys had the largest coaching staff in the league last year. How has your thought process maybe evolved on assembling assistants and coaches, and why do you need some?
Yeah, well, our analysts are in that list. So just so you know, we have about the same number of guys on the field, and coaches, women coaches too, on the field. We have the most women coaches in the league, which I'm really proud of that. We got a very diverse coaching staff. I'm really proud of that. And we have a great coaching staff, most importantly, and that's the thing I'm most proud of.
What's the benefit to having so many analysts?
Well, everybody's got them, but they're just not listed under the coaching staff. We just give them coaching staff credit. I think the Browns have 24 people in their analytics department, so that would make them the biggest coaching staff in the league.
John, you mentioned the women's coaches. Obviously, you guys have been near the forefront of that. Have you guys had any conversations when those applications? You guys have, the women's coaches.
Oh, the women's coaches. Okay.
Number.
Yeah.
Been kind of at the forefront.
Yeah.
Have you guys had any internal conversations, after those applications?
Our women coaches are doing a great job. They're coaching football. They're contributing to our team. They're learning. They're younger coaches in the weight room, on the football side, through the administrative, through the analytic part of it. We have some great young people coaching for us, and I'm excited about that. What's that?
You mentioned that the running back class. Are there any other positions or just in general that stand out to you about this draft?
Yeah, that's probably a better Eric question. I personally watched the tackles and guards right now so far on offense. That's what I've gotten through, and I like a lot of those guys, so that's what I can speak to. Jim learned about himself? I don't know, man. He seems like the same Jim to me. I think people maybe with the Chargers learned how good he is and how much fun he is to be around every day. You're around him a lot, and he's. I was just talking to Joe Ortiz on the way coming down the hallway here, and he said we work really hard and we have a lot of fun doing it. And I think that's something that Jim's always been about. He's fun to be around. He's all ball. If you like football, you like being a Charger, and I feel the same way about the Ravens. Kind of run similar type programs, and it's kind of what it should be about.
I know in the past you've kind of been a little outspoken about, like say, some changes to replay you want to see.
Yeah.
Things about that. Whether it be that or any other rule change. Have you ever over the years maybe taken a step up, talking to your colleagues across the league and trying to express your viewpoint maybe
change opinions. I don't know. I'm
Oh.
interested in that process, how it goes from idea to.
That's a great question. I have been very involved in that, and you can ask anybody that, and they'll probably tell you that yeah. He's been a little bit of a pain about that, but the thing I appreciate about the league is there's great dialogue with that, and they do. Like Roger wants to hear everybody's opinion, and Troy wants to hear everybody's opinion. And those guys are kind of at the top of the food chain there, and it kind of works from there through the competition committee and all that. So they're great. No, I haven't always gotten what I've suggested. I think most of the time that they should be doing what I think is right. But the coaches talk a lot too. And as far as replay, just do as much replay as we can that makes sense. Some things don't make sense in replay, but to me, the idea, the end of the deal should be to get it right as much as we can. And with technology, that allows you more and more to get it right through different avenues of replay.
Quick follow-up. When you have internally in your organization, you got one vote, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys ever have to kind of come to an agreement on things when you see things differently?
We do. Steve is the boss. Steve ultimately makes the call, but he listens to all of us, and then it's not too often where like he doesn't. We all come to an agreement. I think one of our philosophies is that we agree to agree. And you got to come to it might be it's either or a third option or a fourth option or some way of looking at it that melds all the ideas together. But we always try to agree to agree.
Talk about your coaches. Talk about your coaches moving on. Staffing is
Yeah.
because of that. How much pride do you take in having a coaching tree and developing
Yeah. Thanks. I do. You take a lot of pride in that, You take a lot of pride in the fact that your coaches are going off and they're doing well. And you kind of see the personality of the teams that they coach or the units they coach. And you feel like, man, that looks familiar to me, And that's something that you do. You take a lot of pride in that. And especially as you get older, you start feeling better and better about that. So I love our guys. And, I don't love playing against them all the time. That's not so much fun, but you love what they're building.
Hey, Tom, speaking of rules, earlier, you referred to this question as a coaching question, so I'll ask you now.
Yeah.
In the event you were to lose Ronnie in free agency, would you be comfortable going to Roger in year 2 on the left side?
Absolutely. Yeah. That'd be one of the options we could go to. It would depend on the draft and different things like that in free agency. I think we'll probably keep Ronnie. Hopeful that we will. But if we don't, we'll have an option, and that would be one of them for sure. Oh, yeah. Voorhees got a great shot at that. He looked really good at the end of the year when he played, and there's other guys in there, too, in that mix.
Was it because of injury that he kind of fell out of the rotation?
Yeah, it was early in his career, and it just someone came in there and played really well. I mean, Pat went in there and played great, and that was the better option. But Andrew was working all the way through and developing. Then all of a sudden, boom, he's back on the field. You guys don't see the practices, but then he's back on the field and he played really well. And that was because of all the work between then and when he got his opportunity.
John, speaking of rules, the tush push.
The tush push.
What's your feelings on that? And
Okay.
you obviously have a Mark Andrews play, like similar to it. So what's your thoughts on whether it should be banned?
Well, to me, it's okay. You got to take all those rules holistically. Okay, what effect does one rule change have on the next thing? So if you take out the tush push, then you're going to take out all pushing. Okay, so guy can't be downfield and the offensive lineman come running in and push the ball carrier 5 more yards. You can't take one out and not the other. They're the same. Just like you're not supposed to be able to grab a running back and pull him into the end zone. That hasn't been officiated. They've allowed that to happen. That's already against the rules. How are you going to officiate that? So if we want to say that you can't help push a back, then you can take out the tush push. If you're going to say that that's still allowed, in my opinion, you can't take out the tush push. So I'm good with you. I'm okay with the tush push. Yeah.
How important is it this offseason to add a pass rusher and being able to get home before and not having to send extra bodies in the way?
Yeah, we believe in both. I think you want to be able to get there with 3. Maybe make them hold a little longer. You want to be able to get there with simulateds, where you bring 4, but it's not the guy they expect to come and make them hold the ball with coverage guys. You want to be able to get there with 4 rushers. Like some teams, the teams that have those guys, they do a great job of them. We have those guys too. We've done that a lot. You want to be able to get home with zone blitzes, with man blitzes, with all-out blitzes. We like to keep it moving. We like to keep people guessing. That's kind of our format. And 4-man rush, absolutely, big part of that.
We can do 2 more. Eric was asked today, can you explain the policy and talk a little bit about it? In your mind, where does that policy as it pertains to justice?
That's to be determined. I think that's to be determined, right? That's something we got to find out. That's what the review's for, to gain an understanding of what we're even talking about. You can't take an action without understanding, right? You got to get the facts and understand what happened as best you can, and then you take the situation for what it is. But the principle is the same. How do you define that principle, that term a little bit? Maybe we'll come out and make a definition of that at some point in time. That's something that that would be interesting to me. But I think everybody understands the idea there, and let's see where the review takes us.
Last one.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right.